Greetings dear viewers, I wanted to show you the biggest financial mistake of my entire life, my BMW E46. The E46, the fourth generation of the 3 Series. Some consider it to be the best 3 Series. I don't. On paper, this car is actually great. Economical, fun to drive, very practical, especially the touring version. Well, in reality, it's been the biggest financial mistake of my entire life. Honestly, I'm a bit scared to talk bad things about this car because sometimes it feels like it's sentient. Whenever I talk bad about it, it just seems to break down. It's ridiculous. Everyone's seen these cars, everyone knows what they look like. They were made from '97 until 2006, and in 2002 they got a facelift. This is the facelift model. It is different because it has slightly different headlights and the grills were changed. This car was actually designed by Chris Bangle, and it seems like it was before he hit his head on something, because the designs that he came up with after this car, yikes man. Honestly, unpopular opinion here, but I really don't like the way this rear end looks. Like on sedans and coupes, I think it looks fine, but especially on the touring, it looks a bit goofy. Also, we got a bit of rust here, as you can see, that tends to happen with these cars. Might be wondering what engine this has. Well, the E46 had a bunch of different engines in petrols. They had engines from 1.6 liters with 4 cylinders to 3 liters and with 6 cylinders. But if you're in Europe, you're probably more interested in these filthy tractors. M57, the 3-liter diesel. Oh yeah. This does sound like a tractor, doesn't it? If you're in Europe, this is probably the most sought after engine in this car. This is the 3-liter M57, and in theory, this is a great engine. It's fun, it's economical, it offers you great power and great torque, which all just sounds really good. That's why they're really popular over here. Honestly, I have no complaints about the engine itself. What's the point of having a great engine when everything else around it fails? The cooling system seems to have been made of cardboard. There are so many other failure points in an old diesel. The EGR, the injectors, all of the ecology stuff like the DPF, it just causes a lot of headaches. Oh, let me tell you, the car handles very nicely during corners. It handles great at high speeds. The thing is that when you're driving it in the city, like I am most of the time, you can feel every pothole. On roads like this, it's really not comfortable. You can feel every single bump in the road. It's just not ideal. Yeah, if you've never driven a car that has a hydraulic steering wheel pump, you're gonna notice that the steering wheel is very stiff. Now, BMW fans actually really like this. They say that it makes you feel very much in tune with the road, and it makes you feel all the nuances of the road, and it makes you feel the handling very well, which is true. But when you're daily driving it on roads like this, it's just really not pleasant. It's also difficult to get onto any curb or anything. That's why I also bought it with a cracked bumpers. I spent like 3 or 4 days fixing it in the winter time. It was freezing and I was just working in the garage by myself. Once I put it back on the car, it was looking very nice. I was very proud of it, but a few months ago now, I cracked it at the exact same place where it was cracked. But overall, I'd say that the drive is really nice. When the car is working correctly, it feels really great. The issue is it doesn't work correctly 95% of the time. The interior on this car is actually pretty great. No complaints on it. Having covered 380,000 kilometers, it's held up in pretty good shape. The only things that you can see is that the steering wheel has peeled off, and I've replaced it with duct tape, but that's just because I've been a bit too lazy to to sew a new one on. One thing that is a bit annoying is that the door has given out. That's why I'm holding it with my foot. What I do like about BMWs is the seats. They have so many adjustments. And after almost 3 years of ownership, I've discovered that there's another adjustment which supports your legs at the knee. So honestly, the seats are really comfortable. It's probably one of the best features of BMWs. There is enough space in the back. It's not plentiful, but I'm 1.87 meters tall. I'm sitting behind myself here, and it's not ideal, but it's fine. The trunk isn't the biggest, but there is plenty of space in here. I mean, I fit in here with a subwoofer and a bunch of other garbage, so it's not that bad. But it really isn't the biggest. In a wagon, you'd expect something a bit more sizable. Let's say the Volvos, V70s, XC70s of this era, they have a much bigger trunk space. Almost a week after I bought the car, the whole cooling system started failing. BMWs from the early 2000s, I don't know why, but it seems like they made their cooling systems from cardboard. Like, if you buy a car like this, you should replace the whole cooling system immediately, because that was the biggest thing that just kept failing and failing. I still have PTSD from seeing the little yellow coolant light on my dash, because it's happened so many times that it's ridiculous. The suspension had to be redone because, as I said, it's very firm, it's very stiff, it's very low. And when you're driving it on roads like this every day, it breaks. Around the first year of ownership, this car ate around 1,800 euros, which was a lot of money. And then for the second year of ownership, it was a bit more quiet. I guess it didn't really break down that much. But then this year came with a lot of not very nice surprises. First of all, one day I got into the car and the power was gone. It was very sluggish up until like 2,000 RPMs, and only then it would pick up. Found out that apparently it was most likely a vacuum leak, and the vacuum hoses were all very rotten and just leaking a lot of vacuum. There was also an oil leak from the valve cover gasket. Once we got the valve cover off and got the valve cover gasket changed, you're so close to the injectors there that I guess why not check them, right? So I agreed to get the injectors checked, and guess what? 3 of the 6 injectors were faulty and they had to be restored. A 200 euro job turned into like an 800 euro job, and that was very painful. I was just like, do I really need a car like this that just keeps sucking the money out of me, man? These old diesels, Jesus Christ, man. But the best part about this was that once all of that was done, I thought, okay, I should have my power back. But no, the vacuum leak was still there. Like, man, doing all of that stuff and still not having power, man, I was so pissed. I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna go and pass the technical inspection, and then I'm gonna sell it. As they were checking my car, when you're doing the emissions test, they started revving it, and I just saw that coolant was starting to just splash out like a little fountain. It was starting to cover the whole engine, and I was like, what the fuck? Thankfully, it turned out to be just a faulty screw. In the coolant tank, there's a plastic screw that's used for letting gases out of the system. And the screw had just absolutely rotten. That was a €2 fix. I was very happy. I was like, okay, this is great. Let me go on a trip 2 hours outside of Riga, and you know what happened? This was probably the last nail in the coffin. Half a year ago, I think the remote to unlock the car stopped working. So for this whole time, around 6 months, I've just been using the key to manually unlock the car. As I park up my car for the night, I'm going to lock the door. The door locks, and then the locking cylinder just snaps. It just, you're turning it left and right, and nothing's happening. The car is locked. You can't unlock it with the button. And I just wanted to cry. I was like, this has to be a joke. This is ridiculous, man. We started trying to break into the car using different methods. We tried prying the door open and getting a wire through, trying to press the unlock button that's in the interior here. After hours of trying, that didn't work. Then we tried getting the passenger window down using duct tape, which also didn't work. So in a last ditch effort to save this, I knew that the little window door that you have on the trunk, I just pried it open with my fingers and I got into the car, I unlocked it, and then we drove off, we drove home. I passed the inspection and now I'm basically ready to sell it. And it's been such a pain. This car has been such a pain. I bought the car for 2,700 euros. In 3 years, it's cost me over 3,000 euros in repairs. So that's basically the cost of the car in repairs in 3 years. So an average of repair cost per year is around 1,000. So if you're not ready for that sort of money, don't buy an old BMW, seriously. So it consumes around 8 liters per 100 kilometers, and assuming that you cover 10,000 kilometers per year, which I've been doing, in fuel, it's going to cost you around 1,300 euros per year. Yearly services, which is changing the oil, air filters, that's going to be around 120, 150 per year. Insurance comes out to around 300 euros per year, but that also differs on the person. If I give you a total of how much money this car takes per year to drive and to maintain and to insure, it comes out to around 3,000 euros per year, which is, man, it's ridiculous. As a student, I should have never bought this car. Over almost 3 years of ownership, this is the number that I saw that just made me want to cry. It's cost me around 9,000 euros. Jesus Christ, bro. It's all a learning experience, okay? You should probably only buy this car if you're a mechanic, if you know how to work on it yourself, because paying for work of other mechanics on your car is just going to ruin your financial status. I know that I do like BMWs, and I'll probably come back to a car like this sometime in the future, but currently it's just been too much of a financial burden, and I really don't understand how I've kept it for 3 years. When you're 18, 19 or 20 years old, you might get into a phase where you think that you need a BMW. You need an old luxury German car. But trust me, it is not worth it. Buy yourself something boring and something reliable. I recently saw a post that talked about the signs of a toxic relationship. And to have a toxic relationship with something or someone, you need to have dependency on the abuser, you need to have defensiveness or making excuses to others for the abuser. That's what you do. When you own a BMW, you're like, oh yeah, the car broke down, but it's fine. It's a BMW, it's fun to drive, right? Rationalizing or justifying an abuser's behaviors. That's what you do when you have a BMW all the time. Yeah, it broke down, but hey, it's fun to drive. This car is going to get you into a toxic relationship. Please, just buy a Toyota.